Blog Talk Radio.
This is Heart to Heart Talk Radio, part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. I am your host, Daniel Scranton. For the next hour or so, please listen with your heart.
Hello, everyone. This is Daniel, and this is Heart to Heart Talk Radio. And we do have a special guest this evening. Ms. Sue Vittner is waiting patiently on hold for me to introduce her. Sue is an author and a massage therapist and a love coach and a lovely human being. And I'm really excited to get to know her tonight live on the air because Sue and I have really had one session where I channeled for her, and then I don't know how many months went by before I got an email from her saying, hey, I wrote a book, and I wrote about our session in the book, and I want to know if I have your permission to use that. And I was more than happy to, and then her book came out, and I thought, oh, and her book is called From Your Vision Board to Your Bedroom, and brings Sue on now. It's out, by the way, her book on Amazon. You can find it. You can buy it. So, Sue, you are on. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. So, I think a lot of people out there who are listening and are going to listen to the archive would love to hear about which order do we go in here? Should we? I guess we'll start with finding Todd, or Todd finding you, or how that all unfolded.
Okay, well, why don't I share the story of how when I was talking with you,
yeah,
when I called you originally to have a channeling session, and this was back in 2011, and my friend told me about you, so I called you up, and I asked, I forget what they were called at the time.
The creators. They're still the creators. Yeah.
Okay, the creators. Yeah. And I asked them, I was wanting to manifest a partner, and I had done a lot of law of attraction stuff and made a vision board and just really got in line with what I wanted in a partner and who I was, and cleaned up a lot of limiting beliefs that I had about myself and about love. Mm-hmm. And when I called you, I asked, how am I going to know when I'm ready to meet my partner? Mm-hmm. And that's what I put in my book. And basically they said, you'll know when you're ready, when you're in love with yourself. And like you're happy with your life and everything is great in your life, and you don't even realize that this partner is missing, that you're not even like longing. And I remember feeling at the time, I was like, I'm there. I knew I was there. I was ready because I was just loving my life. I had a great group of friends. I was just really I had a full life. And then 4 days later, I met Todd. So it just happened. And I didn't even realize it was 4 days later until I started writing this book, and I looked back at my journal and saw the date, and I was like, oh, that's really weird how quickly it happened. I'm talking to you. And I think what, talking to you, what helped me was just ease my mind. There's that piece in law of attraction of letting go. And I think that was just more confirmation that, it's going to happen, and just let it go and be okay with that. So, and that when I met Todd, we instantly really had a connection, and we met and we hung out that whole day, and then every day after. And that summer, the following summer, we decided to go on this retreat to Kripalu, which is like a yoga place, and he booked us to do it. You know Kripalu?
I know about it. I've never been there, but yeah.
It's in Western Massachusetts, and
right.
yeah,
And I'm from Connecticut, so yeah.
Okay, so you know it.
Yeah.
And so he booked us to do this couples yoga class, and it was great. Then we came back, and he was looking at the vision board that I made a couple years before I met him, and there's this tiny picture of a couple doing yoga on a lawn, and then in small print it said couples can do partner yoga at Kripalu. Like, it was exactly the same thing that we had done.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to manifest like that, to see it in writing, you know.
That's really sweet. Yeah. So you kind of glossed over how you guys met. Because you met, but
we met.
What I want to know, I want details.
Okay. So it was September 11th, and I go to a Unity church, and that morning they were going to have like 10 drummers there for the service, just in celebration of the memorial. And I actually had lost my voice the night before because I'd gone out dancing, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to go to church. But I saw that email, and I said, I have to go because there are going to be all these drummers, and I just love drumming. And I showed up, and Todd was one of the drummers.
Really?
So after, so I went up to him after, and, you know, he was cute, and I was telling him how great I loved the drumming, and then we just kept talking, and ended up going to lunch, going to a beach, taking a hike that day. We just spent the whole day together.
Nice. So you approached him, huh?
I did.
Wow.
I was brave.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Well, you know, when you get that urge, you know, those butterflies and that instinct to say, okay. So I think, had I not...
Did he say later on that he had noticed you? Prior to your approaching?
He said he noticed me walk in. I was late going there. And,
so you made an entrance then.
Yes, I made an entrance.
Very cool. That's very cool. Lana and I have talked quite a bit. Lana's my wife's name, and we've talked quite a bit about the Abraham cruise that we met on. So, because we met on a cruise that was about, I think, exactly 1 month after I had broken off an engagement with a woman who was also on the cruise.
Oh, interesting.
So we met on that cruise, and we both noticed each other and were interested in each other, but for various reasons didn't come together romantically till the very last night. But we spent a lot of time together on the cruise, and then I spent a little bit of time together the next day too. The day when we devoted Fort Lauderdale, and then a year and 8 months went by before we saw each other again. So it's not your traditional love story.
Mm-hmm. So did you meet again at another Abraham event?
No, it was in Los Angeles, where she came for a visit that had nothing to do with me, but I just, happened to live in Los Angeles, and so we got together. So that's how it happened.
I love hearing all that. There's so many different ways that people can come together. Yes,
and I have to say, about the time this was December of 2012 when we actually came together for good. Excited that she was coming, but at the same time, I was also very calm about the whole thing. So it was a wonderful combination of being really excited to hang out with this person that I didn't know what her situation was in Denmark. She's from Denmark. And so this was only supposed to be a 1 month trip, and then she was supposed to go back to Denmark. And I didn't know any of that, but I just knew that I really liked this person and was eager and excited to hang out with her. And then when it all began to unfold, it was so natural.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was just so easy and so good feeling, and I was so calm and not trying to impress her or anything like that, you know. So I think that's a big piece that people sometimes don't get about romance, is that it doesn't have to be like in the cartoon where your heart is pumping out of your chest and your eyes are, you know, coming out of your socket.
Right. Well, you know what, I asked the creators on that session, I said, how will I know who's the one? And they said there'll be many. You'll be able to choose from many different ones. And I said, well, how will I know, like, which is the best one? And they said, you'll know when the one who feels the best. It should feel like you're putting a glove on, and it just fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Do you remember they said that?
I think I remember reading your transcription of that, but that was, way too long ago for me to remember. So that's awesome. And so did you and Todd get married, or?
No, we're not married.
You're not married?
We didn't, no.
Yeah, I've wondered about that ever since we talked about you doing the show. I was like, I can't remember if she said they were married or not, but
no.
Yeah. But this is 3 years going now, right? At least 3 years.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years.
Wow.
Over. Mm-hmm.
And then when did you decide that you wanted to do love coaching? Was this before you had met Todd, or?
Not before. I had been a coach before I met Todd, but primarily a massage therapist. And no, the love coaching came after I met Todd, and just realizing that love is my favorite subject on the planet, so it just fits really well. I love talking to people about how they, falling in love with themselves, falling in love with their partners, their stories.
Yeah.
And I love the law of attraction, so I like combining them.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, and now you also teach couples how to massage each other.
You're right.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Yes, that's really fun because, touch is so crucial. And there are a lot of people that there's, massage, a lot of people, and they're just not touching. They're not getting the touch that they're wanting. So this is helping couples to connect in a way that's pretty special. And my focus when I teach couples massage classes is how to massage your partner so it doesn't hurt your hands. Because a lot of times we think, if I get a massage, I got to move my hands, and then they get tired in 5 minutes. So I teach them how to use their forearms, their elbows, their knees, different things. Yeah.
I used to receive massages like it was nobody's business. And I think I was married once before, and I think that because there was so little intimacy in that marriage, there was so little, even like any type of touch or intimacy, that I went looking for it with massage, and I mean, I don't feel great about that, admitting that to the public, but that is, I think, why I became so interested in receiving massage, just to be touched. And so I totally understand what you're talking about. And yeah, I love the feeling of a forearm because it's so soft. The skin there is just so soft.
Have you heard of
that
book, The 5 Love Languages?
It sounds familiar.
So it's this man wrote a book. I forgot even his name, but it's how people feel loved, how they give and receive love. And his theory is that it's one of these 5 ways: through touch, through acts of service, through gifts, through words, and through quality time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you feel like if touch is your way of feeling loved and your partner, that's not their way of showing love, there's might be like acts of service, like making you dinner, changing your tires or whatever. So that's where a lot of people feel disconnected because they're just not hearing the love that the way they are supposed to be, the way they expect it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's about getting to know your partner in the course of the relationship, because there's obviously, now you were telling me before we came on the air that people you work with is in the pre-relationship phase, but there's so much about being in a relationship with another person that it's such a growth experience, and there's just so much to it. It's really, I will say that, we've had our ups and downs in this marriage, Juan and I, and it is so worth it. All the stuff we've been through, every little bit of it is so worth it because of not only the growth of the relationship and the intimacy and the bond, but the growth of the self and the getting to know yourself through this other person's mirror. And yeah, it's such a valuable, that's I think why so many people are either in a relationship or want a relationship, whether they know it or not. It's really about that way that relationship stimulates us into our personal evolution.
Right.
So,
I like to think of relationships as like a personal workshop. It's you're in this petri dish of a workshop because they are our mirror and they bring out the best and the worst in us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's a healthy relationship and both parties are, just really working toward the highest good for each other, supporting that growth in each other.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, and again, that's something as you're in the relationship, you discover how to be in relationship with this person and how they're helping you to discover things about yourself, and it's not always easy, but it's totally worth it.
Totally worth it. In the book, I talk about my history of, I've been in many relationships, and I feel they're all valuable, and however long they last, because each one is an exact reflection of where we are at the time, and we learn what we need to learn, and then sometimes, they're 5 months long, sometimes they're 5 years, sometimes, even a couple days, but they're exactly what we need at the time. So a lot of people that are in relationships that feel like it's struggling all the time, so what is it that you need to be learning from that? And then when is it time to say, okay, I've learned what I needed, and now it's time to move on?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think somehow we all know when that time is, because that's usually when it ends.
Right.
But I think that if you don't know, then chances are that there's still something more in that relationship, no matter how challenging it might be to be in the relationship. There's still something there until it's over.
Yes.
So what was the process then of writing the book? That's the next piece here.
Well, I saw this ad for how to write a book in a weekend course.
Oh.
And I figured if I'm ever going to write a book, I want it to be in a weekend and not in a year and a half, although, of course, it ended up taking a year and a half. But that really it was a great class, and it just got me to get all the ideas out and in a format. And then, so I would work on it, and then I'd put it away for maybe a month or two, and then I'd take it out and work on it. And it really wrote very quickly. It was the process was more formatting it and changing it around, and you know, getting order and better. And then I never wanted it to be stressful. So if I felt like I was getting annoyed with it, I'd just put it away. And then when I was inspired, I'd take it out again, because I wanted it to be always fueled with positive energy and love and fun.
That is so important. I know exactly what you mean. What were you going to say before I go off on another tangent?
Well, and I had a lot of different people read it, which was really helpful to get different perspectives and different editing eyes on it, which was nice. Yeah.
I have done a lot of writing myself in this lifetime. I've written 25 full-length feature screenplays, and I've been around a lot of writers. Yeah, so creatively, you know, that I've done other writing too, but creatively, being around other writers and hearing the self-talk of writers, writers can be so hard on themselves when it comes to the actual doing of it. Not the actual, I'm not even talking about being critical of the work itself, but what I've noticed is that there's this idea that if you're a writer, you have to be writing all the time, you have to be consistent, you have to produce, you know, a certain amount in a certain amount of time. And I've just seen writers use their craft to just beat themselves up for not writing. And what I've noticed, especially when I was in school at UCLA, they have a program there for people who just want to go at night. It's not quite an extension program. It's more, they call it a professional program. And I had to write, I think they did trimesters, and I had to write 3 screenplays in the 3 trimesters. And when you're trying to write, when you're trying to come up with an idea for a screenplay, it is so much harder than when you're just living your life and you're sitting around and you see something and you go, and the idea just plops right into your head, and you say, oh, there's a movie, like there's an idea for a movie, and you get all excited and you just go and you just want to write. And so anyone who's listening who wants to write, listen to what Stu had to say about that, because it was brilliant. And also just be really, really easy on yourself about getting the work done, because it is really, really making your life more difficult if you're going to put pressure on yourself to get it done. So
right.
That's my 2 cents.
It's hard to have creativity when there's pressure involved.
Yeah, for sure. So all that being said, you wrote the book, and at what point did you take it to a publisher?
Well, I self-published it.
Okay.
So I was the only deadline. You know, I had to put the deadline on myself, and I did it through Amazon's Create Space. They have a Create Space thing.
Heard of that.
Yeah, so the whole process was really easy, and they work with you the whole way through it. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I think, did you ever consider getting it published, or did the Create Space way, again, just seem like the path of least resistance for you?
Exactly. I never thought of going to find a publisher. This was something that the class talked. That's what the class was about, like self-publishing it, that I took originally. Yeah. So it was just like, okay, yeah, of course I'll do it that way because it just seemed easy. So from the get-go, that's what I just intended to do. Like, I had never thought my whole life, like, I want to be a writer. It's not more. This book is more like, as a coach, how I can get my word out to the world. So it's different than writing a novel, although there are so many people writing novels these days that are self-published as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally, I can see why someone would want to self-publish for a variety of reasons. One of the biggest ones being that you can be your own editor. I mean, I know you said you took it to other people and got their edits, but I think that it would be so challenging for me to take something I've written and have someone make changes to it and then get it back to me and say, you want to publish this book with us, you need to make these changes because, I didn't, that wasn't ever part of my process, and I'm really glad that it hasn't been. So, I mean, because I sat in screenwriting classes where, people bounce their ideas off of you about your screenplay, and most of the time it's just them like, you sit there and nod, but really thinking, there's no way I'm doing that.
I think it's the freedom being part in us, like, it's
freedom.
The need for freedom and the need for, that's, at least for me, it's like, I need to be free to pick my own cover, pick my own font, do my own thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you make a painting, someone's not going to repaint.
That is such a good point. Oh, my God, I love that. Oh, wow. So, when you do coaching with people and you're that person is in the seeking phase, or let's just say they're single, what are the things you hear the most from the clients, paraphrasing obviously, and what are some of the things that you say to those people?
Okay, a lot of I'm no good in relationships, or I lose myself in relationships. That's a big one. I lose myself in relationships. And so it's the self-talk, and then it's cleaning that up and where does it come from? Whose voice is it really? Is it from, a parent? Is it your own? And then rewiring it, reconfiguring. Okay, so I've had some hard relationships, but I'm learning more about myself. A belief is just a thought we keep thinking over and over. And why not think one that serves us? Then that doesn't,
Exactly. Even if it didn't work at all, even if that was not having any effect whatsoever, it still is what is in support of feeling good, which is what we all want. So that's what I've always thought to anyone who would ever say, well, I don't believe it works. It doesn't have to work. It doesn't have to do anything for you to want to feel good, for you to be kind to yourself and direct your focus where you want it to be. That, to me, that's artful living. That's just being authentic and loving to yourself. Why not? For no other reason. And that's a really great approach to life.
Right.
Yeah. And then when you do get couples that you work with, what are the major challenges you're seeing couples face, and what are your approaches?
Well, I think probably the biggest challenge seems to be communication. And, they're both, and it seems like they both have needs, but they're not hearing what the other's really saying and really needing. Have you heard of nonviolent communication?
Yeah.
Marshall Rosenberg's work. He talks about the feelings and the needs, and that every feeling that we have leads us to a deeper, like the need. And these needs are a universal life force that we all have access to. We all have them, these needs. And it seems like we think that we have to have someone else to fulfill that within us, but in fact we can fill that need by connecting with the energy of it. So, for example, if my partner's not listening to me, my partner, I don't matter to that person. So it's, okay, how do I not matter to myself? How do I not listen to myself? And it's connecting with that within yourself. What does it feel to matter? What does it feel like to be heard? And you just fill yourself with that energy, and it's like, okay, I don't have to. I'm not this empty vessel that needs to be filled by someone else. I can fill it myself. So then, when we come from those two filled up places, then we can connect with that partner better and hear them. And does that make sense?
Beautiful. Yeah. It is, there are times when communicating is the solution. It's not like once you start communicating, you then need to find the solution through communicating. It's just in the voicing of something that everything is better magically.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, what I've noticed in my relationships is that part of that comes from whatever it is that we're hiding, whatever it is that we don't want to own up to or face. To allow ourselves to express that and to be vulnerable in that moment and say it in spite of the fact that it's not something you would ever want someone to know. That right there, charge away from it. It takes the power away from it. It's now, and then what inevitably happens is the other person says something like, well, that's not that bad. Like, that's, why would you feel so bad about that? Like, we all do that. We all think that, whatever it is, And then all of a sudden you have one less thing that you're holding on to, that you're resisting, that you're using as an excuse to beat yourself up. So that the communication piece is so huge.
Huge. Yeah, I always feel like and it's like that shame piece. So if we have all of these things that we're holding on to, or secrets, or shame, or I'm thinking something about my partner, but I don't want to tell them. It's like we build these walls over our heart, and being able to speak it, like you said, just like it melts those away, and just like you said, take the charge off. It's really, yeah.
There's also something that, when you said that about building the wall, there's also something that I feel like I've come to glean from just about every teacher I've ever been to and experienced, and that is that there's a difference between seeking love from someone else to give you, like looking for the other to be the source of love. And I think that's what many of us go through the vast majority of our life doing. And then you come to this realization that when you are the one, when you are the source not only of love for self, but love for others, and when that's what you become about, just spreading that and just being that, not only does that let everyone else off the hook, and not only do you then not have to make sure everybody loves you, but your experience of life is just so much better. It's just, it's divine to go through life wanting to be the love rather than wanting to just find ways that you can receive it from someone else.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
It's so fun to walk through life, and everything's brighter, and people are more beautiful, and everyone, you're attracting that because you're giving it, you're attracting it.
Yeah. I also think that these romantic relationships, the other beautiful thing that they do for us is they give us that access to that maybe before we find that special someone that we can feel that way about, we didn't know that existed inside of us. And then once that doorway is open, I feel that it becomes something that changes you forever and for the better. And you recognize that there are beings all around to love, not just your beloved, not just your partner, but I really felt like I so opened up at a certain point to loving way more than just one person, but that the one person was a big part of that, being that catalyst.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And there are just I think times in life when we are more open to a heart-opening experience, or it's just a part of our evolution too, to where now you know that whole idea of being struck by Cupid's arrow. I really think there's something to that. I really think that there's just like, okay, now it's time. It's such a cheesy image, but I think so apt.
And maybe the arrow breaks it open.
And the arrow has a little heart on the tip instead of a point, the typical like arrowhead.
There was a relationship that I had early on, and it wore me out because I didn't have the healthy thoughts about how I wanted to be, and I was so consumed with him and his issues. And once that ended and I was in the next relationship, or going to go to the next relationship, I was like, I have nothing left to give. I have no more love to give. Like, I gave it all to that last one. And then I learned later on that that's not how love works. It's like, it's not mine to give. Love comes through me. And when I am thinking it's just me giving it, of course I'm going to be exhausted from it. But when I'm allowing it to come through me, then it's an endless supply. It's constant flow of it.
As you say that, I hearken back to the story you were telling about writing the book and how the times when you could have powered through or forced yourself to do it even when it didn't feel good, you decided, no, that's not going to work for me, and you step away from it for a little while. And I feel like that's what you're saying about this relationship you were in. That relationship was like the book. When you're just not into it, like you're just not into writing in that moment, it doesn't mean that you'll never. And I think that's something we all fear at times, is that I think I've noticed this in myself. Like, okay, if I skip today, like if I don't do this, like write or something, then there's a danger that I'll never do it again. So I think we force consistency on ourselves, or regimentation. Is regimentation a word?
Sure. Today it is.
Onto ourselves, so that because we fear that we'll lose that spark, that inspiration, or that like love. That if we let go, then maybe we'll never find it again. So,
Yeah.
Walking away. Sometimes you got to walk away.
So I do artwork, and I haven't done it in a really long time. Well, yeah. And as you're saying that, it's like, it's okay, Sue. It will be there, even if it's another year that goes by when you haven't picked up the paintbrush. It's still going to be there. And this is just not the season for it right now.
And sometimes you can even look at the canvas and not feel like doing it, but yet feel that the desire is building, or that that joy that it's there. This is going to sound like a weird analogy. I don't know if it's an analogy, but I bought a basketball hoop at our last house that we lived in California, and it sat mostly unused in front of the driveway. I mean, I did put it up. It was up in the first, week or so. I was playing out there all the time. And then it just sat there most of the time and went unused. But I loved that it was there. I love looking at it. That's my hoop. I can go play anytime I want. So I think that when it's something, when something like it, because I could have used that even as an excuse to get down on myself, like, oh, you spent all this money and, you're not using it. But there's joy just in the possibility. So,
yep.
I want to put it out there for our callers. If you want to ask a question or just join this conversation, you press 1 on your keypad, and then I see a little question mark goes up, and then I can call on you. And if you're listening on your computer and you didn't know this was a call-in show, it's a call-in show. So you can call 347-308-8788 and press 1, and we'll talk to you. Obviously we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about writing and artwork and massage and fun stuff like that. Did you ever think about becoming an energy worker, or do you feel that that's something that you do naturally when you're giving a massage?
I do something called zero balancing, which is the concept is energy is stored in the bones and in the joints, and it's not giving or taking energy, it's helping redistribute it in the body. And I love that. I love doing that with people. So that's been a big part of my body work.
Okay, cool.
And I took a Reiki session when I was in India, a Reiki 1. So that's always infused in the work, but yeah.
Gosh, there's so much that just like a yoga instructor, there's so much a yoga instructor can bring to a class that's intangible, that goes way beyond the movements and the assists and all that. And there's so much that a massage therapist can bring to the treatment room beyond the technique, the working the muscles and all that.
Oh, yeah.
And I know I've experienced every, from every part of the spectrum of massage, from the absolute best, the absolute worst, and everything in between.
The worst thing about getting good massages is I'm really picky. It's hard to.
Oh, I know. I am too.
It's hard to sit through a bad massage.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious.
I have to say, though,
I'm totally changing the subject, but
go for it.
I want to know how, when people get sessions with you channeling, is love a big topic? Like, do people want to know about, is their partner waiting for them? Or?
I would say so, yeah. I would say that comes up a lot. That's definitely one of the biggies. Yeah, I mean, I definitely hear, because I'm conscious during it, so even if I don't go back and listen to the session, I have I'm totally aware. I'm watching and listening to everything as it's happening. And I will say that it comes up more often than the person who is already in a relationship but wants help within that relationship. I would say there's many more of the single folks who are looking out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. It was always my my main question, and now that I'm in one that feels really really great, it's like, okay, I can think about other things like money and other things.
Right. Yeah, it totally changes everything. Like having kids.
Yeah. Do you have children?
Do we know? I have 3 cats and a dog, and they all came to Hawaii with us.
Wow.
So it feels like we have kids sometimes, but no, it's not. It's definitely not the same. I know that. And did you ever have children?
No.
Or are you thinking about it?
No, I think I'm loving my life.
It is,
and I love being an aunt. I'm an aunt, and I love being an aunt. Yeah,
I think for a lot of healers, a lot of people who work in the field that we work in, not having children frees us up so much more energetically for what we do. I mean, obviously, that's not the case in every single case, but I do know a lot of the people who do what I do not have kids, and I don't think that's by accident. Yeah. So what's next for you, Susan Vittner?
I I think doing workshops around the book, working with people through the book in
that's
groups.
a great idea.
That's a desire I have, and Todd loves doing workshops too. So like co-creating workshops.
Oh, I was going to ask you that. Thank you for saying that, because that was one of the questions I had. As we were talking tonight, I was like, I wonder if Todd, I'll have to ask her if Todd gets involved with this work. So that's great, yeah. Obviously, he's a spiritual guy if he's doing drumming at a Unity church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's real spiritual. He's a musician, very talented, and he does like sacred music, like gong meditations and kirtan and drumming circles.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is, I think we're going to go to a kirtan on Thanksgiving Day here.
Ooh.
That's our plan. Yeah, I saw that there was one coming, yeah. So, and gong, the gong baths, oh my God, those are so amazing.
They're amazing.
Those are,
we have
I
fun.
love gong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can definitely incorporate some of that into a workshop with all this stuff. It's all part of it,
Yeah, a big piece, is the letting go piece and like just putting it out there.
Yeah. And so I haven't mentioned your website yet, but I've been, tooling around on it since we started talking. It is SueVittner.com. Sue is spelled just like you would spell Sue, and then Vittner has 2 T's in it, so it's VITTNER.com. And all the things that Sue is offering are on there, including the book and you have a workshop coming up, or is that you do couples massage class regularly, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. And then this workshop with the book, that's something that's in the planning stages. Yeah?
Yes.
Or we'll start this one on January 3rd.
There's going to be one in January in Portland.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Yeah. Well, that January 3rd one is going to be sacred manifesting. So that's using the chakras, manifesting through the chakras, which is really cool. I'm doing that with my friend. And then another, so it's really cool.
And then the end of January, beginning of February, what do you got?
That's what
Find True Love.
With the book. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. That's only $45. That's great.
Yeah.
And then you regularly do couples massage class, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have just a lovely energy, Sue. It's really nice talking to you and getting to know you here and hearing about all the different things you do. And I am truly happy for you and happy for Todd and happy for all the people who get to work with you. And I thank you so much for coming on my show. I guess our callers are bashful tonight and they're not raising their hands. So that's okay because we had plenty to talk about here.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to leave our listeners with?
I always like to say, if you can just look in the mirror today and say, I love you. Look in your eyes and say, I love you. I love you.
Yeah, that is such a great place to start and to
finish. To start.
And to be all the time, even when you're in a relationship, still do that.
Yep.
It's important. Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. This has been fun, and thank you so much. It's fun to reconnect so many years later.
Yeah, I can't believe it's been that long. Holy cow. Yeah, it's starting to add up the years that I've been doing this. So
great.
thank you for
You're
coming
doing good
on
work.
my show, and thank you. So are you. Good luck with everything, and I look forward to seeing everything that you're doing online and on Facebook, and who knows, maybe our paths will cross someday.
Yeah. In Hawaii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to
okay.
let you go, and I'm going to do the announcements for Enlightenment Evolution, and you have a pleasant rest of your evening, however much is left of it.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, good. Bye for now. Okay, so the Enlightenment Evolution Network, which this show is a part of, has many exciting shows to tell you about here. We have Soulfulpreneur Radio, which is tomorrow, Tuesday, and every Tuesday at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern. That show is with Rachel Archelaus and Megan Crandallmeyer, and they are all about helping the light workers with their being business people, the business end of being a spiritual person. So they also are psychics and do readings on every show, so check out their show. Check out all of our shows for now until we get a website going on the Enlightenment Evolution Network page or the Enlightenment Evolution Network group on Facebook, because we have a page and a group. And you can find the links to these shows on that page and that group. And most of these shows have the same phone number as mine if you want to listen online, 347-308-8788. Then Tuesday nights, at least for a little while longer, I think she's switching Saturdays, we have Victoria Vives with the Earth Sky People radio show. Victoria is a Reiki master and a singer and toner and channel and a bunch of other lovely things. And she brings her beautiful energy to her show every week. And her show, for now, like I said, 9 p.m. Eastern. So check out her show. She has a website, victoriavives.com. Soulfulpreneur also has a website. Megan and Rachel have a website for their show. Then on Wednesdays, we have a man that started it all, Rob Gothier, with the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. And Rob is the official channeler for Treb, the friendly reptilian, and Aridis, the ancient Pleiadian. So Treb, Treb, channeling.com is where you can find out all about Rob and who he's doing and what's on the show, what's coming up, and he's regularly got guests and channels himself on the show. And definitely check out Rob's show on Wednesdays. And on Thursdays, we have Philip Malika with Consciousness Evolution Hour. Philip also has lovely guests, delightful conversations with his callers and guests, and sometimes he'll have a channel on, sometimes he'll just wing it, as he likes to say. So check out Philip's show at 6 and 9 p.m. also, and check out Philip's group on Facebook, Consciousness Evolution 2.0. Great Facebook group. And then on Friday nights, we have Kalina Angel with the Earth Experience. That show is also at 6 and 9 p.m. Kalina also has guests like, for instance, Mr. Rob Gothier, who channels on her show. And she has clips, and they have topics like the last topic about being an earth seed or a star seed. And she has music and all sorts on her show. So check out Kalina on Fridays. Then on Saturdays, we have Disclosure Now with the Pied Piper and co-host Texas Rebel. That one is also at 6 and 9 p.m. That one is all about disclosure and government conspiracies and ETs and all that fun stuff. So check that show out on Saturdays. On Sunday mornings, we have Karen Newman with About Oneness. Karen's a channel and a singer and has a twin flame crystal that does a lot of shows with about twin flame energy. Karen's in the Netherlands, so she's doing her show from all the way over there, and bringing lots of light and love to our network. So check out Karen's shows. And then on Sunday night, coming June, will be the Resonance Intention with Universal Soul and Neil Gar. They will be bringing high-frequency performers of music and all sorts of other things to their program. And they are also the people behind the Portal to Ascension event. So check out Neil and Soul's show when that begins airing. And I know we have more shows coming all the time. So stay posted. Keep yourself apprised of everything that's coming here on this network. And for now, I am going to sign off. This is Daniel saying good night. Oh, I also have some things that if you're interested in checking out, go to danielscranton.com. That's DanielScranton.com. I have a live Q&A coming up on Thursday with Archangel Michael. That one's at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern, and those are every week with a different. I channel one of the four every week that I do work with regularly. So check that out. That's a really inexpensive way to ask questions, be a part of an event, and get a recording. Saturday, the day after. Oh no, we're not doing it on Thursday this week because of Thanksgiving, so it'll be on Friday, the 28th. And then on Saturday, the 29th, will be our next group channeling class. So you participate in the live Q&A and channeling class by phone and internet. And so people from all over the world can be a part of those events. And the group channeling class is around 2 hours. It starts at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and goes for about 2 hours with break in between. I lecture for the first half. I take you through exercises in the second half, and it's all designed to get you channeling by the end. I've had a lot of success channeling classes, and it's a lot of fun for me to talk about something that I love so much. So if you're interested in that or all the other stuff I'm offering, personal retreat, meditation classes, distance sound healing, I have recordings for sale on the website, including a new one that I'm putting together called You Create Reality. By email, and I will channel you the answer to those questions, and I'm very excited about putting that together. And there's so much more coming on danielscranton.com. If you're in Hawaii, I'm doing workshops in December in Maui and Oahu. So, and good night, if you're listening at night. I thank you for listening. This is Daniel saying good night, and I love you.